Clipchamp Create. Clipchamp Create.
Oh wow. What's good, YouTube? It's the one and only Matt, you know what I'm saying? And today I have a little video. You know, people have been telling me to do this video for a long time, and I now got the guts to do the video, so let's just hop into it. And today I'm gonna bring you back to, you know, bring you back to my days. A little story time that happened 3 years ago. And the little title I would give for it is me becoming a father at the age of 14. So I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit of the story, and then after that I'm gonna tell you how I felt and what I did to overcome this, my problems. So so there was this time Rashida was living with me, or aka Shida Mommy. She was living with me, and the reason why she was living with me was because they was about to go to Texas, and so, you know, they just needed a few days to stay. And when they stayed for the time over, I wanted to, you know, do something. And usually me and Rashida, we would go around the house, we would talk and stuff like that, and, you know, I would just have confidence being around her. And it just, I just wanted to be around her even more, and I honestly didn't want her to leave to go to Texas. But I was enjoying each and every day that she was, you know, at my house, and talking to me and making sure that I'm okay. So long story short, so we had two separate rooms, and as we had the two separate rooms, there was a room for the boys and there was a room for the girls. So it would be like late night where we would have our little talks, and we would text over the phone and stuff like that. And one night I was like, hey, you want me to, you know, lay next to you? We could talk and, you know, lay right next to each other. They wouldn't think anything. And she was like, Matthew, that's kind of risky. And I was like, I mean, I'm always down to take risks, you know what I'm saying? So she was like, alright, Matthew, okay, just come over here, just, you know, get over here. And when you get over here, don't make it seem noticeable, or take your time and don't let anybody see you. Be discreet with it. And I was like, okay, I'll be discreet with it. And literally the rooms are like right next to each other, so it was like I didn't have to take a long walk because the room was right there from our room. So I walked in, and I made sure not to, you know, make noise and stuff like that, because everybody was sleeping. Please don't mind that, my brother's sleeping. So yeah, so we texted. I walked into the room. I was being super quiet, and she was laying there on the edge of the bed. And then, you know, I was playing Big Spoon, Little Spoon. We was playing Spoon, so I was the Big Spoon and she was the Little Spoon, and we just started talking. And as we started talking, the talking went to watching videos. It wasn't any inappropriate videos, by the way. It was just straight YouTube videos, things that she wanted me, I guess, to know, and YouTubers that she likes watching. So I watched it with her, and After that, we started talking some more, and as we started talking, we started kissing, and as we started kissing, we was dry humping, we was doing all that stuff, and you know, it kind of got to me because, you know, we are here and the actual thing is here. So I'm sitting here with you like, just take it, you know? And I took it. I took a shot, and I was like, you want to do something? Because, you know, it was scratching the surface from how I felt. I really felt like I wanted to do something, and then she gave in and she said, okay, let's do it. And I think that was the first time we ever did it, and yeah. And then a week later from then, I think we did it again, and we did it 3 times, and there was no protection used. Me personally, it was my fault because, you know, you'd have to be prepared and be ready for these type of things, and I wasn't prepared at all. Even my mom, she would, you know, have discussions and have talks like that, and she would say, oh, you know, if you do have sex with a girl and you guys aren't married, you know, at least wear a condom. And I didn't have one at the time, so it was very ignorant of me, and yeah, it was stupid. And around that time, it was about to be around that time where my little brother, it was gonna be around his birthday. I don't remember fully, but it was gonna be his birthday sooner or later, and you know, because Rashida, she was off her period for a good 2 weeks from then. My mom, she was like, oh, Rashida, where's your period? Is your period coming? Because, you know, you missed a lot of days. And she was like, yeah, I know, it's coming soon, it's coming soon. And around that time, we didn't know, well, me and Rashida, we didn't know that something was going on. So, I mean, now after the fact that, you know, I realized that, you know, she was already conceiving around that time, me and Rashida, we started to get a little scared. And as we got a little scared, yeah, we got scared. And it just wasn't right for anybody, because my mom, she would ask her like every single day, you know, when's your period, when is your period, because she didn't see her on her period ever since then. And going into it, jeez, Matthew, you can't remember the story? Like, come on. Like, turn on the light bulb in your head. So yeah, my mom, she was literally the first one who noticed that Rashida wasn't on her period. So, you know, after a week from my brother's birthday, you know, Rashida, she was getting anxiety, and I was getting anxiety too, because, you know, we didn't use protection, no type of protection. And she started looking up some of the pregnancy symptoms, and I wasn't in the room around that time, but it was morning. It was around morning, afternoon time where she started looking up symptoms and stuff like that. And then she called me into the room, and then she called me into the room, and then she started looking at the symptoms, and she told me that she had at least 9 out of 10 of them symptoms, that pregnancy symptoms. And I'm just sitting back like, I didn't want her to know that, like, you know, I had anxiety, but I told her this. I was like, Rashida, I kind of don't think you're pregnant. I think we're, you know, overwhelming myself. And in my head, I was overwhelming. I was like, oh my god, she probably might be pregnant, or something just might not go right. you know. And then she was like, okay, Matthew, I believe in you, I trust in you, and I don't know, Matthew. She says she trusts me, but I didn't feel like she trusted me, because she was like, because after I did close the laptop and I left the room, I stayed like by the door, and the door is a little bit closed, and she opened the laptop again, and she just couldn't close it. And then the next day, we did it again, and that was the final time we did it. And this time I fell asleep right next to her, because usually I would get up and I would go in my room, but this time somebody caught me and it didn't end right. My dad, he caught me. He asked me why was I in the room with her, laying right next to her, and stuff like that. And I just told him that I was just laying there, which God knows damn well I wasn't always just laying there. And yeah, and then the next morning, or not even next morning, but the next day, we went to go do some photos and stuff like that, so I could get my ID and whatever. And my mom, we all came back home, and my mom, she was like, because my mom and my dad, they were talking about, you know, how suspicious I was being last night and stuff like that. And then my mom, she was like, Matthew, are you and Rashida doing anything? And me, my heart was pounding, and the air was super thick. I couldn't, like, the only thing I said was no. I said no the whole entire time. The air was so thick, I felt weights on me. Yeah, and I denied her several times, and until one time she, you know, she changed the question, and then she reinstated the question, and she asked me if me or Rashida was doing anything, and I said yeah. And she said, Matthew, with your mouth, what were you and Rashida doing? And I was like, okay, so how about this? Let me make you a deal, right? She was like, yes. I was like, if you can't be mad if I, you know, tell you. And she was like, okay, I won't be mad, but, you know, I said you can't be mad, and she was like, okay, I won't be mad. And she was just sitting there, and she was on her phone while she was talking to me, and right next to her, my dad was sleeping. And she was like, okay, Matthew, so you're gonna tell me or not? And then, you know, I told her, I said, Rashida and I have been having sex, and she looked up pretty quickly. She was like, huh? And then I said it again. I was like, Rashida and I have been having sex. And then she was like, speak slower. And then I was like, Rashida and I been having sex. And then next thing you know, she went 0 to 100 real quick. She was like, what? What? When? Where? Why? How? You know, all that stuff. And I was like, we've been doing it since late February, so I would say like one of the days would have probably been like around the 28th of February, or the 25th or the 26th. And then she was like, you guys did it last night as well? And then I said yes, and I gave in and I said yes. And then she was like, did you even have a condom? And then I was like, no. And I told her I did pull out multiple times, and yes, I told her I pulled out, and I would see the residue on my hand. And she was like, And I'm like, please, in my head, I'm just like, Mom, please, I know you want to erupt right now, and I know you want to say things, but please don't say anything right now, because he's sleeping, and if he hears this, he's gonna flip just like how you're flipping, and flip 10 times worse. And she calmed down, but she still had that rage, and I saw it in her eyes. And then she was like, okay, we really need to talk about some stuff. And then I was like, oh, because I knew it was gonna be in there for quite a while. It felt like we'd been in there for hours. So she was like, go call Rashida. And around that time, Rashida, she was sitting in the living room on the couch, and I was like, yo, Rashida, my mom wants to talk to us. And she was like, what did you do? What did you tell her? And I was like, I told her the truth. And then she kissed her teeth, and then we all walked into the room. And then and my mom, she asked the question to Rashida, and she was like, Rashida, you guys been having sex? And Rashida, she said no a few times to my mom, but she gave in as well, and she said, yeah, me and Matthew been having sex the whole entire time. Well, not the whole entire time, but a few times. And this time, my dad, he basically caught me, but I was laying like right next to her, so he didn't know for sure that we were having sex. But now, to clarify that we did have sex, me and Rashida, we both said yes that we did. And my mom, she wasn't right with it at all. Nobody was okay with it, because I had my little moment, and then next thing you know, the moment just went away and it vanished, almost like it never happened. But yeah, we did it. Me and Rashida had a good time doing it. But yeah, so my mom, she was upset, and she started talking, and she started saying, it's kind of wrong how you guys did it around this time, and you guys didn't have no condom, you guys weren't, being safe, protected, and stuff like that. And she just couldn't talk. And after a while, she called Rashida's mom, and Rashida's mom, she was I think she was at home. I wouldn't say at home, but she had some time, or not time, I would say she had her own problems to deal with. And my mom, she wanted, to take care of Rashida and Jamania before they left to go to Texas, just for Sister Tisha to clear her head and make sure everything is good. So we talked. My mom called Sister Tisha. She came over, and Sister Tisha, she came into the room. And around that time, my dad was up, and he wasn't right. Just like how I knew he wasn't gonna be right with the situation. He got upset. He said some words. My mom told him not to say those words, but he said them anyways because that was how he felt. And I kind of felt like a bad kid in that season, or a bad teenager, because my dad, he didn't like it. And then he kept repeating over and over, if I came in around that time while you guys were doing it, I would have kicked you out, and I would have kicked her out. And I was like, and around that point, I was like, thank God that he didn't kick me out, because if I was to be kicked out, I wouldn't know where to go. I wouldn't have any place to live. I wouldn't have anything to eat. I wouldn't have clothes on my back, shoes on my feet, and I wouldn't know if there was an opportunity for me if I got kicked out. So he told me that, and he kept me around. I don't know. And Sister Tisha, it was her turn to talk, and she was being super quiet. And the fact that she was being super quiet, it really, turned something inside of me, because usually Sister Tisha, she's one of the most energized mother, parent I'd ever seen. She would talk, and when she would talk, she would, express feelings, because, she's very expressive and very explicit when she speaks or whenever she talks. And the fact that this time she didn't talk and she didn't say anything except, today she lost her job, it, hit me, and in certain ways, because this is a nice lady. I think she was a nurse. She was a nurse around that time, and I think she still is. Thank God. But yeah, she said she lost her job, and I'm just like, you lost her job? Like, she lost her job, and on top of her losing her job, she had to hear that we were having sex, and it just, made a deeper hole for everybody. And then next thing you know, they take the pregnancy test. They took it twice. The first time it was positive. No, the first time it was the one from Dollar Tree, and it was kind of confounded, so they didn't know, and then they got the expensive one, and it said most definitely she was positive, and that she was gonna have a kid, and that we were gonna have a kid. And I felt my heart drop, because I didn't know anything about being a dad. That's a responsibility that I don't want around at that moment and at that time. And we all know, goddamn, it wasn't Rashida's responsibility neither to be a mom, or she want to take that responsibility, because we both wanted to do other things, and then as we did our other things, we would take steps to pair up with each other. So yeah, I didn't like it one bit. I kind of felt like I was the odd one out, because multiple times I would always have something to tell Rashida, and everything I had to say to Rashida was positive. I'd tell her, or I would wake up and I would be like, oh hey, after the fact we know that she was pregnant, even before the night, I said, we could do this, I'm pretty sure that my dad, he doesn't want this to work, and he doesn't want this to happen. But my mom, she's there, and she knows what her son wants. And yeah, I was like, Rashida, we could do this, it was very dumb of us not to have a condom, and to save our, to save our what do you say it? How do you say it? To save our reputation, and to save all the drama, to protect ourselves. And mind you, Rashida is the first person I actually gave in and lost my virginity to, and it's the same thing for her as well. I knew everything was gonna be okay, but I was unhappy. I felt lonely. I felt, misheard. And I'll tell you why I felt all those emotions, because I gave in, and I wanted to commit to Rashida, and when a certain time does come, I did want to get married with her. But I didn't think she wanted the same thing around that time because it was a lot for her to take in, and it was a lot for me to take in. But I knew that God could work and He can change things and give us miracles. That's that's the one thing I knew during that time, and all I said to her was just believe that it could happen and that it could come true. And I was, and she was like, Matthew, you're not gonna go through the things that I go through. And what she meant by that was have the big belly, you know, have different mood swings, because when you do get pregnant, you know, you just randomly just go off, especially on the nicest people that you know. Because she went off on me a lot of times, and I didn't like any of them, but I knew it wasn't her talking. It was her thoughts and her feelings talking to her. And so what that did to me was it made me feel down, and it made me feel less of myself. And not only her, but my dad, he didn't like he didn't like anything of what I did, because he did the same thing. But I think I was 14 around the time, and he was 18 when he did his, so I was 4 years younger than him when he did it. And to see his son do that and retract into the wrong path that he retracted into, he was very upset and he wasn't pleased with what I did, because they was trying to get everything back together, and you know, just to make another hole into another hole and make a giant hole. They took up